What is up, YouTube? This is your girl, the Lion Queen, coming at you with our first ever review video. I am super excited to do this, and I am super excited to do Last Airbender. Um, I loved the show. I am a huge Avatar, The Last Airbender fan, and I just had so much that I wanted to talk about with this movie. The first thing I did not like was Katara doing the water ball. Now, I thought it was a great little card going to the show because in the show, Katara is seen doing water bending with a water ball. But the problem that I have is the fact that in the show, Katara is doing it, she's getting a fish, Sokka pops it with his spear, and the fish flies out, Sokka gets wet. That's a funny scene. Their thing was that they were going hunting for food. So if you're looking for food and she can bend, why is she not bending fish? And that would have been perfect instead of her bending this giant water ball that is losing a gallon of water, but yet maintaining its shape. That irritated me because it's like, how is it maintaining its shape if it's losing all of this water? And if they had have done that, it could have been the same exact dialogue, same exact way of introducing the characters because the way they introduce it is it comes in, the water ball is coming across, Katara gets it, it just happens to pop over Sokka, and he gets wet. Same thing could have happened, but instead of losing water, the fish could have been in there. It pops, and the fish flops off. It could have literally been the same thing. Speaking of Sokka, oh my goodness, they made him so bland. Why would you do that? His mindset was so wrong. The fact that he sat there and was like, this is woman's work. This is what women do. You're a woman. And then to see when everything gets flipped on his head for him, and he's like, wait a minute, what's going on? And he has to learn. And that gave him something. And the way that he reacted to things, that gave him something. But no, what do? They just make him so bland. And then you don't even cast a scrawny kid to play Sokka, which was the whole thing. Also, he is not a warrior. He wanted desperately to be because his father was, and he wanted to protect his family, but he was not. To the point that there's a scene where he's getting thrown off of Zuko's ship because he's just not intimidating. But then you look at this guy, he looks like he could be a warrior. Like if he went and said, I'm gonna join the military, they'd be like, bro, come on. Like he's not a big guy, but he looks like he would work. We will take you. I didn't like that casting, but I know that the only reason they did it was just because they want to hop on the tail end of this Twilight thing that was going on. They were like, we're gonna make this money. That was it. Didn't really work out for them. But Katara's questions, they were stupid. You see this boy laying in the snow. Clearly he's cold because all he has on is a robe. But yet you're just like, I'm gonna ask him questions and then tell him that say that he's exhausted. Because I could not tell that from the fact that he just came from out of ice and he's wearing just a robe, no coat. He's a robe. Why did you ask him questions? And then you get back to the hut. He's up and walking around, and you don't think to ask him the questions then, like the first thing when you saw him. At least, what's your name? How did you get out here? Something. But no, that's not what we get. Another thing I didn't like is the fact that when Zuko shows up in his ship, nobody thinks to put the fire out. Like y'all have fire sitting there. You know that they can only firebend as long as there's fire around them. So put the fire out. That was literally there for plot purposes. Like, okay, they're gonna bring their own fire, but that's just like me sitting here saying, okay, you're gonna bring a gun, so I'm gonna carry some bullets in case you run out. No, that is stupid. And I know that in 100 years they figured that out. So we're on Zuko's ship, and my question is the fact that Zuko, the guy who wants to capture the Avatar, has gotten confirmation that this guy is the Avatar, and he lets him use his shoulder to jump over him to escape. He doesn't reach over to grab him. He doesn't tell Uncle Iroh to grab him. He escapes, jumps onto Appa, and he tells Sokka and Katara that he can take them back. My question is, he never told them that Appa could fly. Now they did see him hovering with the kids, and maybe they put two and two together. But Appa does not fly, like seriously fly, unless you say yip yip. He was out when they found him. So what would have told them yip yip to make him fly? What would have made Appa trust them? Like, come on. There's nothing going on that made sense for them to have him flying. He just magically flies for them. And then when they leave, like Aang's up there and they like, we're gonna go with you. So Aang's like, okay, cool. And he says, yip yip. So when did they find that out? That would have been helpful information when they found him. So we get to the air temple, and after finding this boy in the iceberg and asking him what's his name and realizing he was too exhausted, after walking in on this guy while he's getting dressed and not asking him what his name is, and after saving him, they didn't ask him what his name was. And while flying, they did not ask him what his name was. They get there, he's calling out to his family, and this is the point where she's like, do you mind if I ask you your name? What? What do you mean? Do you mind if you ask? Yes, I 100% mind if you ask me my name, because you should have asked this before you hopped on some random animal that you've never seen before because they were killed off 100 years ago. You should have found out my name, but no, you wait till I'm finding my family. You need to wait because I need to find my family. I've been gone for I don't know how long. Hold up, I'll tell you later. But Aang does tell Katara that his name is Ong. He tells her his name, and then he's running off, and he's like, Monkey Atsu, he's probably gonna jump out and surprise me. That doesn't tell her that his friends are monks. He's running through, and then just he says something else about monks, and that's what she's like, are your friends monks? No, I just call my best friend Monkey Atsu. No, they're not monks. I'm completely not in an air temple where air nomads live. But yeah, no, not at all. Okay, Katara, just can you just go away, please? So Aang finds out that the Fire Nation destroyed his home, his friends, and Mentor's family. Everybody's dead. He finds this out and has a complete meltdown, goes into Avatar state, meets the dragon spirit, comes out of it, and then we cut to Zhao's ship, which was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And then when we come back, all of a sudden now we're in the Earth Kingdom. How? How did we get here? This is what I mean by bad editing. Because if it was good editing, then the Aang would have calmed down. They would have said, let's go to the Earth Kingdom and talk about this. Let's just get out of here. Which would have made sense. He's surrounded by his dead friends. So we need to get out of here. And we could just put two and two together. The Earth Kingdom was close to him. But that is not stated. There's nothing to show that there's any connection to them being there other than to find that guy, this guy. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but I loved him in the show. The whole reason they were there was to meet up with the guy. You need to tell us something. How did we get to this point? What connection? What was their reason for going to the Earth Kingdom instead of flying back to the Southern Water Tribe or going to the Northern Air Temple? What was your motivation? There was no reason to be there except for the plot said to be there. That was it. Okay. So while they're there, that guy here runs up and hides behind them. He's not a teenager. He's a like kid. Looks like he's probably like 11, 12. But he runs up and hides behind Katara, and they're like, "Give us the boy. That boy's an earthbender. He was bending stones at us. They really hurt." Which honestly was the line. This grown man is saying, "Give us this kid because he was bending stones at us and they hurt." And it's like, you did that for comedic relief, but you have Sokka, who could be Sokka. Like literally, the guy could have run up, still being serious because he is a guard, and been like, "Hand over the child. He was bending stones at us." And then Ahsoka could have come in and been like, "Did it hurt?" Which would have been in his character to make a stupid joke. And it would have given him something aside from the fact that he was just there. We could have done away with him because he gave nothing, did nothing. But yeah, they all get arrested because the fight ensues because they won't give the kid. Katara bends water and shoots the water and tries to freeze the guards, but instead she freezes Sokka. which is kind of what happens in the show. But in the show, it happens when they go to rescue Aang, and they actually do come down to the ship, and Katara's trying to stop those Fire Nation, but she winds up freezing Sokka to the boat, and then she turns around and freezes the guards. My problem with this scene is, why did Sokka get arrested? Because their whole thing was they didn't want benders. Katara showed that she had powers. I'm sure if for them to go, I'm hoping that there was a fight. So Aang showed that he had powers, but there's no way that Sokka could have showed that he had powers because he doesn't have powers. So why was he in jail with the other people? Especially when it's said, as soon as we get in there, the fact that the non-benders can live outside of the wall so long as all of the benders had to live in there. So why was Sokka locked in? There was nothing he could have done to have shown that he was a bender, but he's locked up. And then we're in the prison. Katara is supposed to give the speech, but Aang gives the speech, which I am fine with. But what I am not fine with is the fact that Katara runs, and then she pushes the guard. And I just don't get that because Katara runs on emotion. Her whole thing is that she runs on emotion to the point that they make a joke about it in season 3, um, when the kids go to a play in the Fire Nation and they're talking about each one of them, and that was what they made fun of Katara about, was the fact she's emotional. And you can see that in the show, because in the show she becomes the Painted Lady to help this village. But Sokka points out that if whoever's doing this don't continue to do this even once gone, then the factory is just going to cause everything to go back to the way it was. And that's when Katara decides to go up there and destroy it. But she became the Painted Lady because Katara does not think. If she feels angry or like she wants to do something, she's going to do it. She's not going to sit there and think, is this a good idea? Will this work? No, in her mind, this is what needs to happen. This is what I'm going to do. And she does it. And then she comes back and tries to make it better. Her plan is the right now. Her plan is not what's the big picture. So Katara going and instead of just pushing the guy, that's not Katara at all. That is something else. That's not Katara. So another thing I saw in this one was the fact that there were no Kyoshi warriors, but we have this beautiful 6-man dance group. It is hilarious to me because they're dancing, doing all of this earth bending for one rock to come across the screen. And it even takes another guy to push it to hit the Fire Nation guy. What? I love it. I know that this is my bad, and that is bad because they could have used the Kyoshi Warriors. They could have used that same guy who pushed the rock to be the one guy to bring it across, which means that they could have gotten, instead of 6 dancing men, could have had 6 women fighting, and those were the Kyoshi Warriors. And that's how they learned that they're on Kyoshi Island and all of this here stuff. But instead, they have that. But I love it, and it is going to be in my good because I thought that was hilarious that they put it in there. I loved it. But anyways, yeah, there are no Kyoshi Warriors. They paid these guys to dance, and you literally could have had so much more money if you would have just had the one guy do it. If you're not going to have the Kyoshi Warriors, you could have taken all 6 of those guys out and just had the one guy to bend the rock to hit the guy, and then we have a war. It's the same thing. Now we're in the Fire Nation. Why do we see the Fire Lord's face? For you to show the Fire Lord's face in book 1, when you're clearly planning to go all the way to book 3, and in book 1 you show the Fire Lord's face, there's no fear. Look at this guy. He is not terrifying. He looks like he wouldn't even hurt a fly. And this is who you show us. But then later on, we come back to the Fire Nation after Zhao's post, which I get to. But after Zhao's post, we are behind his head for a few minutes, and it is better. Like to the point that I actually, when I went back to do my rewatch, I just started the movie right at that point, and we're directly behind his head. We do not see his face; we just hear his voice. And I was like, if this is how they had to introduce him, this movie would have been not completely better, but it would have gotten a little bit less backlash. A little bit less backlash. Why are you showing us the Fire Lord's face? We do not see the Fire Lord's face until season 3. That is when it's important. That is when we finally unmask this villain. And even though he's now just a regular man, no, because we know the things that he's done. We have not seen who has done it. Now we see it, and it's like you're still terrifying because you've done all of these bad things. You've taken away the element of the unknown. And that was the worst thing you could have done with this character, because that was his whole thing, was he was the element of the unknown. You could have even sat in the chair yourself. You didn't even have to show the face. You could have been the Fire Lord, saved money. Nothing would have changed. And then when it came to showing his face, have a new actor. Or you be the actor. But no. No. We're just going to show the Fire Lord's face. Because reason. So, I want to address Zuko's scar. It finally hit me about his scar when we were in the Earth Kingdom. And I realized he called the boy over to him and pulls the hood over his eye to kind of hide it, but it's not really burned. It's not really scarred. It's just a little bit different from the other eye, but he's not really burned like it is in the show. In the show, you can see the red to the point that that is his distinguishing feature. But yet you have it hidden. Why? Because you wanted to show how pretty this boy was. Okay, he's handsome, but we're not looking at him for whoever he is. We're looking at him for Zuko. We want Prince Zuko. So you could have even just made it red, but no, we just have something different. Okay. One thing I did not like when Aang went to the Northern Air Temple was the fact that they screwed up Appa's face. Why? You guys had money. You have done better movies with less. You have movies that were less budgeted, but so much better. And you it's not like you have well-known actors and actresses in this movie, except for the guy that played Jasper. And even with that, you didn't need him. And if you're saying the CGI, there's so much that you could have taken out. You could have gotten rid of the 6-man dance group. You could have gotten rid of the CGI needed to constantly make waterfall from Katara's water ball. But you screwed up Appa's face. Why? Appa has the face of nightmares. Honestly, I looked at Appa and I was terrified. I just watched this movie 10 years later. So I am 10 years older than I would have been then. And I'm looking at Appa and I'm like, I don't want to go to sleep right now. Because what is this? That was terrifying. Why did you do that to Appa? He didn't do anything to you. First of all, nobody firebends. We're at the post and everybody has swords. You're in the Fire Nation. You're surrounded by fire. And then you're coming up on this guy who is airbending. And you're like, we're going to creep up on him with our swords. Even though his back is turned and we can easily just firebend and knock him out. And we got him. He's back. No, that's not what we get. We get them creeping up behind him with their swords. Aang swirling around, closing the slacks. And the one guy gets in and he's trying to get out and he won't even firebend. He's just standing there looking like, I want to get out. Dude, your job is to capture this guy. Why are you trying to get out? And then once Aang finally defeats everybody and gets away from them, he's literally about to leave the Blue Spirit. He is ready to dip the moment he got the chance. What? What? No! This is a whole thing to set up Aang and Zuko's relationship. In the show, they use each other to get out of there. And when Aang was getting ready to leave, it was because the Blue Spirit got hit in the face with an arrow, and Aang realized, oh my goodness, this is Zuko. That was what made him want to leave. And even then, he didn't even get that far. He literally just ran up, turned around, looked, and when we come back, there's nothing there. So that means that he grabbed Zuko. And he lays Zuko down in the forest and sits there. He tells Zuko about the fact that he used to have Fire Nation friends, all of this nice stuff. And he says to Zuko, do you think we could have been friends? And Zuko reacts the way you would expect. Kind of a jump, but it's Zuko. He shoots fire at Aang, which makes Aang run away. No, in this one, Aang was ready to dip. He realized, you know what, that's wrong. So he turns around to go back and get the guy, the blue spirit. He gets out there, gets hit. He saves him, takes him to the forest, lays him down, and just leaves. He does not ask him, do you think we could have been friends? But there is a variation of that. We'll get to that momentarily. But he lays him down and just leaves. Why couldn't you leave it so that it was an actual foreshadow? Because this right here is just, he just didn't want to kill him. Whereas that led up to Aang seeing that he was a good guy, and you can hear him saying it. You can see it in his face. The fact that he sat there talking to him shows that he truly does believe that they could be friends, which makes sense because in 2 more books, they become friends. But this Aang, we don't get that. So now we reach our final destination, which is the Northern Water Tribe. The first thing I want to point out about this is, to those who know what I mean when I say Yue's hair. Why? I'm going to leave that alone. So leading from there, we're going to go to the fact that Sokka and Yue do not blink at all. Well, I'm not going to say at all because I did count twice with Yue, but Sokka did not blink at all. When they were looking at each other having a conversation, he never blinked. He just stared at her, and they were having a conversation. He was just, yeah, just smile. That is creepy. Me talking about it, I have to close my eyes because that is so creepy to have a guy talking to you and he's just staring. He does not blink. So yeah, that was kind of creepy to me, but that was supposed to show their love and it was supposed to be sweet, I guess. I don't know. And also, okay, so we finally get away from the creep fest that is Sokka and Yue, and we get to the extras running because the Fire Nation is here. But the way they're running is just like a little, okay, we're gonna get our run in today, get a little shoulder movement going. That's about it. There's no urgency. They don't look fearful. They're just like we're gonna go. I was like, why? Why is nobody running for their life? This is the Fire Nation. They are so deadly. They've taken over the world, not just here. This is not their first invasion. Everybody knows that this is serious, but nah, we're just gonna go for a little jog. Let's go. That's it. So, like I said earlier, they did actually include the friend thing with Aang and Zuko, but it wasn't exact. And they made it into a throwaway line. The way they do this is Zuko kidnaps Aang while he's in the Avatar state. Aang comes to. They start to fight. Katara comes in, stops him, freezes Zuko, and they leave. So Aang goes and he unfreezes Zuko's head and he speaks with him for a while. And as he's leaving, he's like, we could have been friends, you know. What? No, no, he doesn't. That's stupid because the same thing could be said with Sokka and Katara. If they were attacking him, y'all could have been friends. If Zhao wasn't attacking you, y'all could have been friends. That does not say anything. The fact that in the show he's having a heart to heart with him and it lets him know that he has had Fire Nation friends and he wants to know if Zuko thinks that they could be friends. This was a genuine moment. This right here was just, I'm just making a point. We could have. I mean, it's possible that we could have been friends. It's not real. What? I did not like that one bit at all. I'm gonna end this with the fact that Aang, thanks to the dragon spirit, in book 1, he's unlocking chakras. It is a big deal because for the first time, the whole crew is separate. Everybody's doing their own thing. Even Sokka and Katara are separate. Aang is doing his own thing. In season 2, we get Toph. She's off doing her own thing. This is the first time that they are not together and doing separate missions. So it was a big deal for that, and the fact that for Aang to fully be able to go into the Avatar state whenever he wanted to, he had to release. He had to mourn the losses. He had to let go of Katara. And then when he couldn't, the chakras were locked. They even go to the Earth Kingdom where he tries to attack Aang and force him to go into it and see how they can control it that way because it's locked. That's what this was. But no, now Aang is just like, you said I have to do this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna do it. And now I can go to the Avatar state when I feel like it. You could have left it and it would have been more impactful. Again, if he would have been fighting and instead of standing there listening to the dragon, he realizes what's all going on, sinks to the ground and says, I'm just one kid. That, and then he goes into the Avatar state because he realizes the damages and fights, and it's the Avatar state that's attacking, not Aang. That would have been perfect to see. I was ready to see the giant monster coming through and saving the day in live action. Okay, you blew your budget on all the crap that you did, but this is what you came up with, was for him to go ahead and unlock chakras. Really? I didn't like that at all. So,
thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on Monday.